2012 when Monroe took Auburn to overtime. They beat Alabama in 2007. They beat Arkansas, I believe, in 2012. So, it's an interesting program. I think they've got a new head coach, though, Todd Berry, being dismissed, I believe, last year after a 2-11 season. But we'll talk about that game. How should Auburn approach this game? This is one of those games that it's more about Auburn and how they play and what they want to get accomplished in this game. Auburn got some guys banged up. Who will play in this game? Who won't play in this game? That might be of some interest. What do you think? What's your cure for Auburn's red zone ails? We know there's a lot of smart people out there, especially those that listen to this program. And so give us a call, 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll free, locally at 334-887-3401. What is the cure for Auburn's red zone ails? We'll talk about Blake Barnett leaving Alabama 4 games into the season, transferring out. Obviously, he looks at Jalen Hurts and sees a true freshman in front of him, knows that he is not going to get an opportunity to start. He will be the backup most likely for the next few years. So he transfers out. You see that more and more these days. We can talk about that a little bit. Tim Williams, the defensive end for Alabama, or linebacker, however you want to classify him, arrested last night. We can talk about that a little bit. Big 12 expansion. Is it all of a sudden now moving toward no expansion? How would that affect Houston? How will that affect Tom Herman? This may be a domino effect, and it looks as though, or at least by all accounts, Oklahoma may be at the front of this, which is kind of sabotaging or basically submarining the Big 12 expansion talk. So we'll get your thoughts on that as well. It's almost time for the Major League Baseball playoffs. It's hard to believe, but the season coming to an end, only about 4 games left. Some pretty exciting wild card races still going on, American League and National League. Don't know if there are any baseball fans left out there, but if there are, certainly I am one of them. So you can give me a call and we'll talk a little bit about it and bore everybody else. Jason Caldwell will be with us at 4:30, and we'll get his thoughts on everything going on. He can bring a little factual information to the show, as he always does. Jason and Brian Matthews both do an outstanding job, and we appreciate them so very much. Sports Call today, as always, brought to you by Home Place Mortgage. Home Place Mortgage of Auburn and Lake Martin. They are the region's best mortgage professionals. They want to give you rates for all new home or refinancing mortgage services. Come to the right place. That is Home Place Mortgage of Auburn and Lake Martin. Check them out at homeplacemtg.com. Again, a lot to talk about today. We could start any number of places. If you have any thoughts, you'd like to bring up a topic, by all means, give us a call. Skip Burtman, former LSU athletic director, had a lot of interesting things to say about Les Miles, about Nick Saban, about maybe when Nick Saban left to go to the NFL, who he was thinking about hiring at that time, hence Steve Spurrier. What if he would have been a little bit more patient and ended up at LSU instead of South Carolina? Maybe we'll play a little what if later on in the program, but of course your phone calls will always come first. Can we start with Tim Williams, please? This has got to be, well, I'll let you judge for yourself, but Alabama senior defensive end Tim Williams arrested at 2 o'clock in the morning this morning at a Publix parking lot on University Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. He had a pistol in his car that he identified as his own, and he is being charged with carrying a pistol without a permit. So 2 University of Alabama officers are just on their normal patrol. They're in the parking lot there. They smell burning marijuana. They approach the Chevy Impala. The scent becomes stronger. Williams is told, he tells the officers it is his car, although there's someone else behind the wheel. So this is a non-football player, mysterious person behind the wheel. Officers search the car, find a clear twist plastic bag holding marijuana in the center console. They also find a Glock 41 pistol under the driver's seat. Williams and the driver were read their Miranda rights. During questioning, the driver said the marijuana was his, and a friend named Brandon Chicken gave him the contraband to hold. I'm just holding it for Brandon Chicken. Okay? That's what he said. Okay. Just want to make that clear. This is the unknown driver that said that. Williams was asked if he had a permit for his gun, he identified the gun as his. He told the officers he bought it 3 weeks ago while at home in Louisiana. Williams said he had a temporary paper permit by the gun store, but didn't have the permit in his possession. Williams produced a receipt for the gun from the gun store. He thought the gun receipt would qualify for a pistol permit. The officers informed him that was not the case. He needed a valid permit to conceal carry, which is it's considered concealing carry if you have it under your seat, out of sight in the car. They arrested him and took him to the pokey there in Tuscaloosa County. Brandon Chicken. I mean, you can't make that up.
I wish I knew where to go from here, though, Andy, and I really don't, because this is something that it's not only – I've gotten to the point of where if it's an opposing team that this happens to, just don't even – I'm numb to it. It happens. It's happened at Auburn way more than we'd like, but it happens at other universities as well, and it's kind of the society that we live in right now. Sometimes you do go, sitting in an open parking lot where there's probably a pretty good chance it's being watched over by some authorities of some sort, may not be quite the perfect location to be burning one down with
Brandon Chicken's weed.
It's an odd story, but the question is, how long is Tim Williams out? One of their top players.
There is a possibility, in my opinion, he misses Kentucky. That's it.
Oh, he's going to miss Kentucky.
There's a possibility, maybe.
Oh, yeah. This is one of those where he's out Kentucky. This is DJ Hall, La Monroe. You want to talk about La Monroe? This is one of those where you feel like you can get away with it. Now, they won't need to bring him out at half, which Nick did DJ Hall's year. But crazy story. I don't think much is going to come of it.
I don't care.
No.
I mean, I really don't. I think this Brandon Chicken should be sought out. From what I understand, he was one of the ones in the car with Cam Robinson in Louisiana.
I saw this awesome meme today on Twitter. If you remember, it's not Airplane. Is it Naked Gun? Where they're on the airplane and the pilot's sweating. And it's
Airplane.
Like, is it Airplane? Yeah. And the pilot's sweating. They said Brandon Chicken sitting at home. He's showing the pilot soaking wet. 888-9-TIGER-9-334-887-3401. Andy, missed you. First time I'm up here with you this week. Your thoughts about Saturday night? It was any win against LSU is a positive win in my book, and there's still some question marks on the offensive side of the ball. It was better. It did look like there was some type of structure and thought process that was going on there. Moved the football well, did not get the football in the end zone. But even watching, if that one goes against us, I could sit up here and say if that one goes against us there on that final second, I didn't leave out of there the way LSU fans left out of there. I still feel like it was a positive. Look, I love getting the win, and we could sit up here and we could keep saying 42-35 back in 2014 is the last SEC win over South Carolina. I'm glad we got that out of the way. But still, overall, I thought it was a good outing for Auburn.
I never will complain about a win over a rival that's in the top 25 and gets Auburn off some very, very dubious lists, like you said. The only team with a longer home losing streak, Colorado. Those kind of lists. So this removes us from those, so that's wonderful. And I'm like you. You go back and look at it, and Auburn drove the ball. I mean, they made first downs. They made conversions. They had some long play drives, some 11, 12, 13-play drives that covered the field. Yeah, we were kept out of the end zone, but if Tony Stevens doesn't drop a pass in the end zone, we score a touchdown. If LSU defensive lineman doesn't fake an injury and stall Auburn's drive there, I think we probably score a touchdown there. If we actually block Kendall Beckwith, instead of just letting him free come right up the middle, which I hope was a bust. I hope that wasn't designed to work that way. We score a touchdown. So, yes, those things happen, though, and we've got to correct those in some way. But I think those can be corrected. If we're driving the football and we're putting ourselves in position, sooner or later I feel like we're going to figure that out a little bit. So I don't think – I was definitely encouraged. I'm not saying that – I know in the locker room, Gus was all, hey, we're going like this. Again, he's zooming up, and that's all we needed. Now we're going on a roll, and that's what the players are saying. That's wonderful. That's the way they should feel. It's going to take a lot more to restore my faith, and I think it's going to take a lot more and a lot more consistently to restore the faith of the fan base. So, but that win opens the door to 8, maybe 9 wins. I believe it does.
Wow, I do too. And it's crazy what a week will bring. Let's go back to the phone lines. And, Andy, we're not positive that everything's going to work out perfectly here, trying to work through a few things, but let's try it. Brandon Chicken's on the phone. You're on Sportscall.
I'm sad that we're not getting –
hopefully we'll catch up with him. And if he's back there talking, we apologize if we're talking on top of him.
Yeah.
But
apology hotline's a little hot today.
There'll be a lot more coming through. Don't worry.
Yeah,
we'll get it straightened out. 888-9-TIGER-9 334-887-3401. Andy, again, we're talking about the game. What was the most what positive moment or positive thing that came out of Saturday night tops the list for you?
The most positive thing?
Yes.
Obviously, the win, number one.
Play-wise, though.
I thought that's a good question. I mean, hard to pinpoint. I mean, the defense, I think, overall, I think played well enough. One thing is I find a bit humorous maybe, but, I hear some Auburn people saying what a great defense we have. Auburn doesn't have a great defense. They have a good defense. And they have an opportunity to be a really good defense by the end of the year. They're not great. Okay? You don't I will never classify a great defense giving up 167 yards rushing a game. That's just I'm sorry. But you can tell by the eye test we're flying around, we're playing better together. You can see the defensive line actually, getting better as the year goes on. So those are all positive things. That's wonderful. And I think the play of the defense, especially on third down, has continued to be such a good thing. I think that's one of the most eye-opening things for this defense because we were so bad last year at third down conversion. And this year we're holding on like 27%, almost 28% on third down. That's what catches my eye. That's such the thing that's most positive to me moving forward. The defense is going to keep us in game.
Bending, not breaking as well. 18.8 points per game. You look down at that number, it's 28th overall. It's right there in the middle of the pack. Actually, a little better than the middle of the pack of the SEC, sitting at 6th. Physicality is the one that I was going to go to. Montravius Adams blowing up that center and getting back there on top of Fournette. You want to talk about a question, one where you go, let's go eat some grass less. Leonard Fournette had 18 touches. And he had, 2 or 3 touches where you go, man, it could have been last year. Did he not have a couple of moments where you go, Lord, here he comes. He's going to have one for 70 yards here on us.
I got one better. They give it to Geis. He runs 65 yards. He touches the ball 4 more times. If you had Geis and Fournette and you're not giving the ball to them 35, 40 times a game, you're a complete idiot. So, I mean, they got to go. People wonder why. That's not right that they fired Miles. Maybe, philosophically, if you want to say it's not right to fire a coach in the middle of the season, fine, I'll take that. Less time was up. I mean, that is just up.
Let's go to break, Andy. A little bit early here. When we come back, hope to catch up with some phone calls, 888-9-TIGER-9.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. More Sportscall presented by Home Place Mortgage on the way right after this.
okay. We didn't get any. We didn't get anything. And all of a sudden it cut out like it was retrained. Because we reset it. And we heard everybody. I don't know if that's a sign or not.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sportscall on this Thursday afternoon. Andy and Randy here with you until 6 o'clock, taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9, toll free locally at 334-887-3401 usually. But having some technical difficulties, can't seem to hear anything from the studio. So we'll hopefully take your phone calls when we can, but we'll effort to see what we can do about that. But Sports Call today brought to you by Lee Marketing Group. From logo design and branding to ad placement, LMG can handle it all. For ease of time, cutting-edge, results-driven marketing campaigns. Think Lee Marketing Group, your comprehensive marketing solution. Check them out at leemarketing.net. We were talking about, of course, the Auburn LSU game from last week. Randy, you said this is the first time you've had a chance to be on air this week. We both agree that it was a big win, obviously, for Auburn. I know a lot of people are not thrilled with the performance, especially with Auburn having to kick so many field goals. And that was kind of what does Auburn do? What would you do as far as curing the Auburn red zone ails? I mean, what's the first thing? What's the number one? What did you notice from the game that you do differently?
I really don't know. I feel like quarterback play was good enough. I thought play selection was pretty solid. Going to the Wildcat, not quite as many times as maybe as we have in the past. There seems to be some miscommunication on the line somewhere, and I don't know where where we're faltering there, but that feels like many of the problems. And I think Rhett Lashley, who, again, I thought did a great job. I mean, when you're watching the game and not knowing exactly the game plan, I did think we had an identity, and he stuck to it. And we moved the football well against a good defense, a very talented defense for LSU, whether they're up to the standard that they've been in the past. But like he said, that it's execution that seems to be the issue to me, and it seems to be the issue in key moments in the football game. And the offensive line, as talented as I feel like we are, I think we've got a very talented offensive line. Don't seem like they meshed up to the standards we've seen when we've really put a very good team together. And I don't know where we're amiss there, but that's just sitting back and watching from the sidelines.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that the offensive line has not played quite up to par yet, or at least maybe what we were expecting. I don't know why. We were expecting it to be great. You bring in a right tackle that has never really played in a starting role. You move your center to left tackle in Austin Goldson. I felt like maybe that was going to be a good role, a productive move. But I think both those guys have struggled to some degree in pass protection. Been a little disappointed in Xavier Dampier at center. And to be honest, I don't know if Braden Smith or Alex Kozan is dominating like I thought they would. However, I told Brett this Tuesday, and when I looked down, I was surprised that we only had 154 yards rushing. It seemed like that we ran the ball better than that. To me, I don't know. Maybe it was just because we were converting a few first downs. We were, continuing drives and able to move the ball a little bit. Auburn's averaging 80 plays a game. I mean, think about that for a minute. With the offense that we ran against Clemson and the way that we struggled to some degree, well, to a large degree against Texas A&M, we're still averaging 80 plays a game. That's where we really want to be. As far as Gus Malzahn's concerned, probably around 85, but we want to be running those plays. We're actually making a lot of first downs, and it just, I think this is why he keeps saying, we're close, because a lot of the factors, a lot of the things that you look at, it points to the fact that we are, we are moving the ball. We are actually not that bad of an offense. If we could just get out of our own way in a lot of situations, and I think on second down, if you're in the red zone, second down's down to do something. We're running, and I completely understand if you're not physical enough to run it up the middle from 5 yards out in 4 plays, then you don't deserve to score. And to some degree, I agree with that. But at some point, you got to start doing a little something. I mean, be a little more creative on second down. Where's that pitch out where everybody goes one way and you pitch it out to a Kerryon Johnson, maybe even a Ryan Davis or whoever, or a Stanton Truitt, speed to the corner, or the jet sweep around against the flow of the offense. So there's some different things you can do. You don't have to be so. And we keep saying over and over and over again about Auburn being predictable, and we got to be a little bit more. That's one of the biggest things we need to work on Saturday, being unpredictable.
But did you think it was better this past Saturday?
Yes, I did.
It looked like there was a different flow. There looked like
we still
there was
ran it up the middle on every first down, it seemed, though.
Well, what was the first down pass to run ratio? Did you do that this week?
I didn't do that, sir. If it wasn't 80-20, I'd be shocked.
I think that's probably about right. I've caught myself trying to keep up with it because we've talked so much about it. But that is kind of who we are. And it did feel like Saturday was a little bit more in tune with our identity. We are amiss somewhere. And I think, to me, it's a bit on the offensive line. I think we're good in the backfield. I think both of those backs are very suitable backs for the SEC. Play well out of the backfield, at least Kerryon Johnson does. Petway looks like an SEC tailback. Really a downhill runner. Got a good burst. Strong runner between the tackles. Solid. Quarterback play, it's still an odd dynamic, but it felt better on Saturday. And without even needing to see the stats, it just felt a little bit better. And Sean he's a surprisingly good enough athlete to make things happen with his legs when given the opportunity. And I think there's more opportunities to potentially be there. And I don't know what kind of 40 time, it doesn't really matter. You can tell that he's got enough speed and he's got enough athleticism to get out of the pocket and at least cause some disruption. And that's really what's missing other than a dynamic passing attack. And I do think that potentially that can be there. Tip your hat to Gus Malzahn for making the decision to go with Rhett Lashley. Let's don't kid ourselves. It was better. It was much better. And he seemed much more in tune with himself on the sideline too. I didn't feel for him all night. There's been games the last couple of years where golly, man, you stressing me out watching you. It didn't feel that way. And back to it, I thought it was a positive night for Auburn. And any time that you come back from the dead, which is where I thought we were, 5 or 6 win team to potentially an 8 or 9 win team, depending on how terrible Georgia ends up at the end of the year. And I think a lot of that has to do with the quarterback play. This could be one of those seasons. Look, you and I both have said we want him hanging on. We don't want to go through a coaching change. We want to be in LSU shoes. I mean, we like Malzahn. We want him to be what we got him here for and what we're so thrilled about in 13 and about 75% of the year in 14. And I think he can, and sometimes it takes a little downtime, but tip your hat to him for relinquishing some of that leadership on the sideline.
Yeah, you got some winnable games coming up. So a 5-2 Auburn team, that would really, if you could, you expect to take care of Louisiana Monroe. On the road against Mississippi State, very winnable. And then Arkansas at home. I know a lot of people are enamored with Arkansas right now, but I mean, I don't see
A&M took it to them.
I don't see it as much. So 3 winnable games. If you can get to 5-2, that trip to Oxford looks a little bit more interesting. So up against another break here. We'll be back with more Sports Call presented by Lee Marketing Group right after these messages.
Up enough to hear.